Good morning. Welcome to this mini lecture on values and beliefs. What are values? Values are, a value is, the worth, desirability, or usefulness that we place on something. Beliefs or a belief is an opinion or conviction. In the field of social work, we place a high emphasis on examining our own personal values. So if you're in your field placement or in the process of starting your field placement, this is something that we ask you to do right away. So in number 1, section 1 of your learning contract, it's professional values and ethics. So one of the practice behaviors, number 1, is to recognize and manage your personal values in a way that allows professional values to guide practice. Okay, so we need to really think about what are our personal values and be able to balance those with the professional values that we'll discuss on the next slide. So where do we get our values? In the text, religious values, personal values, and social values are discussed. Another influence on our values is culture. Often the family values of your family of origin play a key role in how you develop your own personal values. Your orientation, are you more individual or collective? And in the United States, mainstream culture is thought of as being individual. So there's a concept of rugged individualism, or pull yourself up by the bootstraps, versus collective. And there are many cultures within our United States and within the Southwest that are more collective oriented. So that's something to think about. Time orientation. Are people future oriented or more oriented in the current now? The relationship with nature is key. Harmony with nature versus subjugation or mastery over nature. And idealistic versus materialistic. What value do you place on material things versus overall ideals? And so as social workers, we emphasize professional values. So we're going to keep pounding away at this at the NASW Code of Ethics. And those are the 6 professional values. And specifically, social justice is one that we talk about as it relates to social policy. So we're going to keep thinking about that. We're going to define that for you. And, we want you to critically think about social justice. I think the dignity and worth of the individual is key as well. So what it all boils down to, policy considerations are often, and considerations and debates are often part of a system of conflicting beliefs. And so one side of the aisle versus the other side of the aisle, for lack of a better term. So if you look at figure 1.3 of your text, which is on page 16, it lists some conflicting beliefs. And so take a look at those, read through those, and the definitions of those beliefs as well. Competing interests. So policymakers are constantly hearing from citizens, but also interest groups about viewpoints and issues. And so there's a common saying that usually someone's left out when a policy is made. And so, you're never going to completely satisfy everyone, or hardly ever. Very rare where someone does not feel left out when a policy decision is being made. And then the ability to compromise is really important for this system, this democratic system here in the United States. And we've seen how the compromise has been really, it's been hard lately. There's a lot of polarization in the political atmosphere. So in closing, what assumptions do we make when we consider a policy issue? Does every person truly have choice? So on page 23 of the text, the author really describes, things to consider when we think that or make that assumption that everyone has freedom of choice. Are people's voices being heard? Or do people feel that their voices are being heard? So if someone feels like they don't really have a say, are they going to participate in the process? And so as a social worker, when you work with people, you have to assess that. And I talked about an empowerment approach to make people feel empowered that their voices can be heard. Access, I'm going to keep talking about that. Who's being included or denied? And what role or opportunities do you have in front of you? So it's an election year next year. Are you registered to vote? Are you planning to vote? If you have that that right to vote. And so, those are the things that you can consider. Or you can volunteer to register people to vote. So these roles and opportunities don't necessarily mean you have to run for office, right? But how do you participate, or how do you work with your clients as well? How do you encourage them to participate in the policy process? So that's all for now. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.